Coming back to your advertisement, what was the reason that you put all your three concepts in one ad?
Well, because we felt, I know we weren't set a budget, but we kind of thought more realistically. We thought, we don't know how big your budget is. It could be huge to do something like this, but also couldn't. So we felt to be, a bit more realistic, we wanted to get our story in one. It's very different to theirs, but we felt that we could convey the same message within one story. And we feel that although it's just one here, from our concept you can develop so many other stories. We really want to develop a character from this. So, you could have another one in bike riding, because your target audience are proactive people. So that's what we really wanted to convey. We wanted to convey, activity, but we also wanted to say, you don't have to stop these activities because you're not feeling well. You can take this small little packet in your pocket with you, and you don't have to stop. And that's, that's what we got from your brief. Proactive people. We felt that was a strong message that we wanted to convey in ours. So
who was the leader of your team?
I was.
Did you look at the ground situation, the Sri Lankan conditions when you decided on canoeing and doing the concept, or did you look at a very broad concept which fits into the strategy?
Well, we didn't really look into that, because we just in the time limit that we had, this is how we came up and worked on it. So maybe if we had an extra hour, maybe we would have developed into research, but this was our idea, and we in the future that could be developed. I mean, if you were going to go with our idea, you wouldn't necessarily have to go with the water. Basically, we wanted to show a concept and an idea, and with ours you can develop it. That's what we, the main message we wanted to show. But in our heads we came up with the water, and with all the time limit, that's how we developed it. So
we were looking at you've got two sets of presentations here. What would be more attractive? How would you look at the competition doing this kind of 3-page ad, very focused, very aggressive? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think as practical marketers, we have to think about our budget as well. Like, since we are trying to do a series of stories, for example...
Just to cut it short, budget wasn't an issue here.
Yeah,
budget was
not a constraint.
Not a constraint.
Yeah, so I don't think talking about the budget is going to take you anywhere.
Yeah, actually we wanted to take this forward as a series. Like on Sunday, this particular Sunday, we wanted to do this canoeing, and next Sunday biking, and next Sunday a doctor with his family. So we thought that we have to stick to a small area, but that will continue. So it will reinforce continuously.
But unfortunately, you are not presented that.
Yes, it would be one campaign then. If you thought of all that, it most probably would have been one campaign, which you are not communicating.
Yeah, actually, we just conceptualized that, but we didn't put it in creative.
And by saying it, he's contrasting his own self, because if you're looking at the budget, you're going to continue it within the next few weeks. Your budget is going to anyway go up. So how impactful?
Well, in a
but
particular
with
week,
us,
we
you're
won't.
only paying for one page. I mean, okay, there was no budget, but we did think realistically, and who knows what the budget could be? It could be really small or absolutely huge and be able to do something like that. But we've thought, obviously in a different way to them, and we thought realistically, okay, budget wasn't an issue, but we thought, what would a real business do? Would you really be able to afford 3 full pages? And maybe if you scaled that down, it might not be so attractive, it may not be as eye-catching. So they're very different ideas, and I think from saying that just because ours is on one page, that it's not going to stand out, we feel that it does stand out, and we feel that we show the story in one, and hopefully convey the same message as you'd show in 3. So they're completely different, and even without a budget, we've thought more realistically.
Sorry.
Yes.
They just kept highlighting how they were more realistic. It's not that we were being non-realistic, right?
No, not at all. This is completely scalable.
Yeah.
And I think
I
our
think also,
concept's
and Pete
completely
mentioned, he said the size is not an issue. He said you can even do it a small.
Yeah,
smaller
but maybe
and-
it won't be as attractive, smaller. I mean, yeah, looking at this now, it's pretty amazing. It's really bright, it's huge, whereas ours is small. But if that had to be scaled down, would it be the same?
But this
I
would
think it
still
would.
give
Our
larger
concepts-
returns, and we want brand awareness. And if you
Would
want brand
also
awareness,
the
you have to
consumer,
spend for it.
read all that on one? Do you think that the consumer will read all that on one?
Well, yeah, because
Will
it's
the
an
consumer
easy
take time to read all
three-page
that?
story. It's just a three-image story.
I think they're more likely to read this because it's on one page than turn and see another one.
I mean,
and then
do
turn back
people
to sport
really
and see
are
another
people
one.
really excited to know what's after a sore throat? I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, we're not experienced in the industry. Are people really excited to see what's next after saying sore throat? So we wanted to get it all in one page. We wanted to make it quick. So
I think that's the point that they missed. Sri Lankans are curious. They like to know what's happened.
Consumer is
there's
always
no
curious.
research saying Sri Lankans are curious. They like to read 3
You
pages.
know, you tend to know. You tend to know. There's no research, but you tend to know.
Yeah, but this Zeigarnik effect, as it's called, can work in different ways. Because for me, and I'm sure lots of people do exactly the same, you start at the back page, so you've blown it immediately. You start with the last thing. I mean, I don't know how many people fall into that category, but I confess, I start reading a newspaper at the back page. I
But
might look at the headline.
that's still fine, Mr. Charlie, because the back page you have this.
Fine,
So
but the
it's still
effect
fine.
isn't working on me. In fact, I'm going to become less curious as I go.
But the research we did suggested that the vast
I
majority
think
of
that's
they got a strategy there.
Yeah,
Sri Lankans always, kind of, read the sports page first.
Exactly. So you
The first page, the front page first, Mr.
You read the
Gomez,
sports
and
page first.
the second, you got it wrong there.
I agree with you on that.
My issue with both of them would be, and I don't know how much scope there was, but basically the formula that both of you have is, Mr. T has a sore throat in any old situation, walking through the woods or going out canoeing. He takes a Strepsil, he feels better, and the world improves along with him.
Yeah.
Yeah? There's no kind of new take on that for me there at all.
That's part of Strepsil's actual campaign, and we were told to stay quite strictly to that.
Because this would be like a reminder of what the TV advertisement shows. It would bring out the key message, and this would.
I'm asking, you're a brand manager, Rekit. Can you put this into practice, this concept?
Well, we haven't.
Is it realistic?
Number one, we haven't tried it.
Yes.
Because we had concerns of who will use the product.
Yes.
Because we are very, very strong. I mean, we want to, really focus on the point that who would use Strepsils for what.
Yes.
When you're saying that you can take this and get a free Strepsils without even saying what is Strepsils used for, or without even giving enough instruction, we wouldn't want to risk that part. On this sampling, yes, but we always emphasize only if you have a sore throat.
Okay.
By giving out this coupon, whether that will get into practice is something that I have a question of, and we might run into risks of the regulatory authorities questioning us. How would you do that? Just because everybody buy a newspaper, how can they have Strepsils?
So, ladies and gentlemen, you may leave now. So we will deliberate who the ultimate winner on these two presentations. Faisal, you were with the two teams in the morning.
Yes.
What was your take on this?
Okay, initially I think when they started off, I felt like they were trying to go too much into the research platform. They're trying to find new details about the brand and its standing rather than using the information given to them, which kind of I felt they wasted a lot of time in the process. If they would have used the information given, which is sufficient enough in my view, and straight away got into the concept designing part of it, they could have saved a lot of time and been more creative with the work they've done. Number two is that the relevance part of it, like what I think is that they were looking in for global executions and global what UK has done, probably what Australia has done, what Singapore has done. What I felt like that's the wrong move to do, because they should have looked into Sri Lanka. Even though not Strepsils, they could have looked into other brands, what they've done in Sri Lanka, just to get an idea. And because marketing and branding is all about consumers, and if you're losing connectivity with the consumers or the local consumers, you're losing the whole game.
Joe, what do you think of the total concept in terms of artwork, creativity, the impact?
Yes.
Now, just one question there. I mean, they got it right because if you sample, that means trial.
Yes.
So Strepsils, you have to trial.
Yes, of course.
Right. So it's key that you trial. It's not like doing a promotion. It's totally different.
Yes.
So I think in that sense they got it right, spot on.
I mean, that's a very, very good point. Try it. Yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of concept, as I told them at the start itself, that it will be their whole idea, and whatever they come up with is what will be put into place. So I think the fact that they went with a more colorful ad compared to the other one, even if I think this is scaled down, it will still be quite attractive because of the different colors that have been used. But as I said, my only concern was the last page, but I guess that's...
But I mean, if you look at, between all of us, it clearly shows that Enterprise Alliance, the second team, clearly
There are two things here actually. I think it's about innovativeness of those guys and the brand guidelines usage of these guys.
Yes.
Because these guys are spot on their brand guidelines. Those guys. Now, how much of a weightage do you guys actually put on brand guidelines?
Okay, to answer that question, I guess for me, if like a brand guideline is the key, because we want to maintain uniformity across the world. I would have been glad if they would have came up with the same boldness, same impact while maintaining the brand guidelines. But overall, if I can list down like few good things which I see in this is the emotional connectivity, which is really, really important for a brand like Strepsils.
Faisal, you worked with the team in the morning, both teams, and since we have decided that Synergy has lost the game, out of the three people there, whom do you think is the weakling in your assumption?
My assumption, I think Abby was slightly reluctant to kind of get Sri Lankan consumer insights into the picture, because she felt like even they were doing the research on the brand, she felt like since so many other countries have gone for it, this would be a good idea. I mean, I didn't see that curiosity of, okay, let's find out what a typical Sri Lankan consumer would think. Like I saw that part when even Imesh basically came up with one or two questions as to what would be the practice of like if we in case go for a press ad, like what would be the practice, like what papers that they would read, what are the pages that they would go through. But I guess that the whole story didn't come together. They were one person was curious and the other person was not so curious. At the end of the day, I think they missed the whole consumer insight part.
Imesh being a Sri Lankan, did he could have influenced the decision on this?
Which I think that he is a little weak on that, because he didn't try to convince the rest, saying that he should have bought more insights. Yes.
Okay, so basically you would say Imesh and Abby in this
they could have
context
had
were
the team spirit working more
two
to bring out.
weaklings. Okay, we'll get them in.